Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast, and welcome to the preview show where we have a look at everything coming up in boxing this week. It's a bit of a quieter one as per the last couple of weeks this week, but it's still an absolute barnstormer up in Nottingham. It's Anthony Cacace versus Leigh Wood, and that full card: Liam Davies, Ezra Taylor, Owen Cooper, Sam Noakes. Some brilliant fighters on the card. We've put out podcasts twice a week every week, so subscribe for all that good stuff, or follow if you're listening on the audio version on Spotify. And as always, straight in to the action. That sub-main event, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be a brilliant fight. It feels like forever since we've seen Leigh Wood.
And that is because it is. When we
it
first...
Like, it must be about 2 years at this point.
It's coming up to it. And in fact, Leigh Wood is the reason this podcast exists. His fight versus Josh Warrington. Me and Harry talking about that. So that shows just how long ago his last fight was. In the meantime, Anthony Cacace has picked up two pretty impressive wins over in both in Wembley and in Saudi Arabia. It's just, without us trying to say the cursed words that always ruin a fight, it's got all the ingredients for a brilliant, brilliant fight.
Yeah, it should very much be a fight where both men meet in the middle, and what they describe as a sort of phone box fight, hopefully, is what we get.
Especially with it being in Nottingham as well for Leigh Wood. I think that's going to help him massively, home advantage and all that. But yeah, like you said, Anthony Cacace is coming off probably two of the biggest wins of his careers. You know, Joe Cordina in Riyadh, that obviously what happened in that fight. So part of me disagrees with what happened, but at the same time, it's boxing, protect yourself at all times, the argument there. But against Josh Warrington, looked very, very good and showed why he's at this level. And I'm very surprised he's taken this Leigh Wood fight, if I'm being completely honest. All right, he hasn't been fighting for over 2 years and all that, but Leigh Wood is a very dangerous operator. And we were saying before we filmed this, I've just got that memory of him and Conlon. He needs that stoppage win. And like you said to me before the podcast, he said at the press conference, if you're still standing with me and trading with me in the 12th round, I promise you I'm going to put you on your ass. And he did. And that has got, I just remember that so much. And I can't believe that that's probably 5 years ago now, probably 4 years ago. And, you know, both men are coming off wins over, you know, Sam's favourite fighter in Josh Warrington. Apologies. But, no, like you said, this has got all the ingredients to be something very, very special. And I think with the additive, it's a world title fight, it's in Nottingham. I think we'll see the best of Leigh Wood. But the concern is, for me, the inactivity is a massive, massive concern. And I think we've seen it last weekend with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. Not being active can cause you all sorts of problems. Obviously, Ryan Garcia losing and Devin Haney looking terrible in his fight. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But no, it's a great fight. Great card as well. I think Queensberry, obviously last time out they debuted on DAZN, wasn't the best of cards. At first it was an incredible card, heavy impact and all that. This one I think is sort of a traditional Queensberry card where there's a lot of decent fights on there, good title fights on there, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll get on to some of those other fights obviously at the end, and I think like we said, you know, Queensberry probably domestically had a better year than Matchroom last year. I thought they did a really good job with their domestic shows, and this is no different. Cacace said the reason he didn't take I think it was Sugar Nunes fight, was he's in for money now. He wants to set his family up rather than titles, which is why he's, you know, taking this fight. This is a big money fight. Like you say, in Nottingham, Leigh Wood in Nottingham will always be exciting. I've spoken quite a lot to Josh Hart from Seconds Out. He's a Nottingham fan. He's from up that way, and he loves Leigh Wood. And he just says it's like there's such a buzz around the city when Leigh Wood's fighting, and this should, in theory, be no different. But it is a tough fight for him. I think you're downplaying Cacace slightly when you said you can't believe he took this fight. You know, it's a super featherweight.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't believe he took this fight. I can't believe that he's going to someone's backyard instead of going, no, you come to me. You know.
Yeah, but I think, like you say, it's the money and the name that Leigh Wood holds. He's one of the. He's probably got one of the better sort of pulls and without trying to use a cringe word, clout, as you would say, in terms of British boxing. He's got a good support behind him, and I think for that reason. But it's just a good fight. You said you think it'll be a bit of a phone box war. Is it the kind of fight, do you think, then, where if one man decides that they wanted to outbox, not that I think they will, then it's their kind of fight. But they're more likely going to just meet in a British classic, innit?
I think when you're going into a fight like this, both trainers and like corners will be box smart, don't get drawn into the occasion. But like you said, Leigh Wood's waited, his last fight was 2023. He's waited a long time to get back to Nottingham after obviously the last victory. He's waited for this moment. There's obviously a massive buzz around the fight this weekend. There's going to be a really good atmosphere in there. Cacace as well is going to bring a lot of fans, so there's going to be a buzz in there. And I just feel like when it starts to ignite, I think it'll just take one big punch. Someone will land something somewhere or land a bit of success, and it'll really ignite then, and you could just see that where they sort of switch from just being a boxer to being that fighter comes out of them, and I think that's where we'll see a really good fight.
Yeah, I agree. We'll obviously keep our predictions until the very end, as we always do on the Boxing News app, so stick around to see who we think's going to win that one. Liam Davies back in the ring. Yeah. Nice to see, obviously off the back of a loss against an unbeaten fighter, or now against, fighting an undefeated fighter in Kurt Walker. It's just good to see him get back in the mix. He is a quality operator. He did lose reasonably comfortably, but I think, he'll come again, wasn't it? It was that kind of case of...
It was an off night, wasn't it? And in boxing you get that sometimes, and I think for Liam Davies, he's probably a little bit thankful that it's happened at this point in his career. But Saturday night, it's all about bouncing back now, and it's for the IBF International vacant titles. And for Kurt Walker, he rings a bell. Kurt Walker does.
He fought Leon.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
On the what was it?
In Belfast, it was in the
and that was a good fight.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. He's a good operator.
And he deserves this opportunity. But like we said, Liam Davies coming off that defeat in Birmingham, that sort of Midlands derby, where everyone was bigging him up. Everyone was, saying that he's got that power and all that to fight a new A and all that. And I still think he does. But I think every boxer has an off night, and that was his off night. And like I said, it's all about coming back into the ring now on Saturday night and just proving... And, shutting up people like me by saying that, put that to one side, ignore what happened there in Birmingham. This is the real Liam Davies, and he's going to put on a great performance. That's what he's aiming for.
Yeah, but, and obviously up at featherweight now. I was just when you said the IBF International, I saw the featherweight on there, and I thought, I didn't really think of it. I was like, hold on a minute, he was bantamweight, wasn't he? A super bantamweight. So it'd be like sometimes you see it with fighters, don't you? And they get to a point where it is time to move up.
We've seen that a lot lately, haven't we? With, Chris Eubank Jr. I think is a massive example of that. A 160 fighter all through his career, and now he's actually struggling to get up the weight. For someone like Liam Davies now to probably think, all right, that last fight, I lost that potentially because of the weight. Let's move up and let's put that to bed and let's try again. And it's a tough fight, I think, and that's what we talked about last year. Queensberry having a good year. Queensberry put on decent fights, I think, on their main card, and obviously now being on DAZN, they have to compete with Matchroom and all the other promoters. I think this card's really, really strong, but I think Liam Davies is something special, and he'll have just enough to beat Kurt Walker on the night.
I think it shows his mindset as well, the fact that coming off against the first career loss to jump straight back in against another undefeated fighter, and someone in Kurt Walker who's not just going to be turning up on Saturday thinking, this is my chance to make a bit of money. He's definitely going to be going there Saturday thinking, if I can get one over Liam Davies, and that propels me massively. Obviously with the IBF title as well, that's a big ranking title, so I'll push him up again further to bigger fights. So it's not going to be no sort of pushover coming back off a loss and are a new weight class as well, so it would be one to keep an eye on in terms of how that goes for him on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to this card in general, to be honest with you. They, like you say, they are now competing on DAZN, and they've got Josh Taylor, Echo Esserman up in Glasgow, and obviously Echo Esserman's last opponent, Owen Cooper. Now it's a nice smooth little transition there. Not the kid who played the main part in adolescence. A very good boxer fighting Chris Congo, which it's an interesting fight. Chris Congo is a decent operator. He's had a couple of losses, but he's certainly no mug.
No. And it's good to actually see him fight on a Saturday night again.
Rather than on
a Wednesday night in Riyadh or at Wembley Arena after the public workouts. But Now, Owen Cooper, we were watching before the podcast.
Oh, yeah, what a right hand that was.
That was a brilliant fight between Cooper and Esserman. And obviously, Congo's lost to Esserman as well, so it just ties it in nicely. Obviously, Congo went I think he went full 12 rounds with Esserman. Cooper was stopped, but he landed that massive knockdown against Esserman, and now we got up from that.
It is a shame, though, that Esserman's not on this card. As a Nottingham boy, it would have been nice to see, but obviously Josh Taylor's a great fight. You can't say no to that.
Like we talk about Anthony Cacace, think about the going up to Glasgow. Yeah,
that's going to be I know that's a few weeks away, but that'll be another.
Oh no,
I love watching Echo Esserman.
Oh yeah, and I think what we talked about quite a lot in the review show about how like your opponent is a big factor as to how interesting a fight is, and Owen Cooper was very game for that Echo Esserman fight. And brought a good fight and that dramatic end to it and all of this sort of stuff that made that a really exciting fight. It wasn't just the fact that Echo Esserman, just always brings the heat and always brings the energy, always brings the engine. But yeah, I think
the best out of him. I think obviously he scored that big knockdown, and Esserman got up and he thought, right, I'm well and truly in a fight, and I need to do something impressive here to turn it around. And it was a last round stoppage he got.
Yeah, 12th round stoppage.
Pinned him into that corner, unleashed, that's why they call him the engine, because he's just unstoppable once he gets going. But yeah, it was a really good fight. But Cooper would have taken a lot from that fight, I think, and will go into this weekend still with a lot of confidence and knowing that a win against Congo will set him up nicely for another shot at someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, there's a strong undercard of a lot of sort of debutants and young fighters, but in the midst of it, Sam Noakes, who is just, a domestic powerhouse at this point, with the British title, European title, Commonwealth title. I think he's got a British mandatory that he's been ordered as well, but that's not this fight. He's fighting another European. I don't think it's to defend the European title. I think it's just to keep him busy and active and wait for opportunities. And we've been on the Sam Noakes hype train for a while now. I think it was one of the first episodes we did. It was quite early on.
Probably some York Hall fight card, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Sam shared it, I think, on his socials, and we've kind of been following his career pretty closely there. I've been at his last two. I love the guy. I think he's such an exciting fighter.
And like you said, I think this fight on Saturday night is about keeping busy, because I think he's got something on the horizon.
You'd imagine so, with an 8-round
July 19th, I think he's going to be on the Usyk Dubois undercard, I think.
I don't see why not. He's
a fan-friendly fighter, ain't he? Sam Noakes?
And we said it all along. From the very start, we said, when Turki Al-Sheikh did the whole Mark Chamberlain's my favourite fighter, and we said, you're looking at the wrong lightweight from the Queensberry stable, because there's a man who's better, more exciting, has a better knockout run that now obviously came to an end via Eva Mendy, wasn't it, who is one tough bugger, and then he's had a second fight without a stoppage. But without giving my prediction away too early, I predict him probably to do the same again. I can't see Noakes not being able to stop anyone other than the sort of top operators and particularly tough ones at that. It was Ryan Walsh, wasn't it? I was trying to find the name somewhere.
It'd be nice, like you said, to get him on one of those big cards, if they can get him on that undisputed card.
He's a relatively small name compared to what he's got.
Yeah, he's one of the few that, like you said, Chamberlain's had his shot, Padley had a shot, and obviously has blown up massively.
Gwynn.
Yeah, Gavin Gwynn has had it, so I feel like Noakes is probably one of the only few, although, like, at that weight class in Britain that you're waiting for that sort of opportunity to come his way. So hopefully he does get something like that. And obviously holding the European title would probably be, well, if he's got a mandatory for the British title defence, he could possibly do that on there, because a British title fight at Wembley Stadium is always going to do well, I think.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it's a great fight. I can't remember what it was, but I don't seem to remember it being a great fight. But when you look at that list, the names he's amongst, when you look at the rankings, you got just below him Abdullah Mason, Harry's Prospect of the Year, Hadia Herrera below him as well, another unbelievable fighter. Just above him, a man who just got a draw against Tank Davis. He's in good company. Keyshawn Davis, Raymond Murataya, who's obviously fighting this weekend, Zepeda, Lomachenko. I've said for a long time, I think William Zepeda, Sam Noakes would be a phenomenal fight. That would be a phone box war. They could have that fight in a phone box and it would look exactly the same because neither man's taken a step back.
That's your
They
two
both
favourite
carry.
fighters as well, ain't it?
Oh, it's up there.
Yeah.
It's up there. I won't say I do really like Zepeda,
That's
but
the sort of fight where when you make your predictions, you'll have splinters.
I will not. I know exactly where I'd go for that one. I'd go with my heart, not my head for that one, and my namesake, I think, as well, probably. But yeah, I think.
Your name's not William.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good one. No, I like Sam Noakes. There's no. I like to. I think you're quite good, and you're quite good at kind of hiding your favourite fighters a little bit.
I don't know about that.
No, but
Next week.
You get quite excited about a lot of fighters, whereas I try and keep it humble. But then as soon as someone like Sam or Martin Bacoli comes on the card, I'm like a giddy little child. Just can't wait to talk about them. I think we'll do the predictions now. Let's get over.
There's one fight we haven't covered though is Ezra Taylor.
Oh shit!
Jones.
Of course, yeah.
That'd be another very good fight. Was Ezra Taylor meant to fight for a European title not long ago? Or am I getting mixed up with someone else?
I want to say Ezra Taylor last time. I was on a Box Nation card as well.
I can't remember what he done last time.
He fought in March, didn't he?
Yeah, because they want to get the fight with what's it called? No, I don't think he did. They want to get the fight with Louis Edmondson, don't they? He was there ringside for that.
There was someone else on that York Hall card that was meant to fight. Was it the main event that dropped off like late on? There's something happened with one of those cards. But
Sean Noakes.
No, I can't remember. But either way,
two undefeated fighters.
Two undefeated fighters.
Troy
Good
Jones
fight.
is a very game fighter as well. He's gonna come to.
Is Troy
prove a
Jones
point.
from up that way?
He's from Birmingham.
He's from Birmingham. And where's Ezra Taylor from? I feel like one of them's from. Yeah, he's a Nottingham boy. I knew one of them was. Yeah, that's a good fight, and it's good to get hometown fighters on cards, isn't it? And I think if Ezra Taylor gets through this, like he probably hopes he does, then a Louis Edmondson fight for the British and Commonwealth would be a good fight.
Yeah, that's a cracking
I think it'd
fight,
be a really good fight for him. So fingers crossed we see that. Oh, you get cheating now. You're locking in your predictions early.
Yeah,
I see you.
Because I take so long to do them.
I see you.
Because I take so long to do them.
You're a cheat. You're
Yeah.
a cheat. You're a Judas. Let's have a look on the Boxing News app. Obviously, you guys can play alongside with us if you want, and you can find us on the leaderboard. See if you know Glove compared to us. Because I did. Was that another win for me?
Yeah, you won again.
I can say with confidence
think
now.
you-
4 on the bounce.
What did you finish on 22 points? I think.
I didn't even look. I knew I
If
would
my
win.
prediction
I didn't even
came
look.
in, if that Badu Jack fight went the other way, I would have won this week. So
Yeah, but do you know what's crazy?
it didn't.
It didn't.
Yeah. He's so humble in victory, ain't he? Typical Leeds fan.
Starting off with on the predictions, Owen Cooper versus Chris Congo, a welterweight 10 rounder. Now, this is a difficult one to call.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is a
straight
really
away.
hard one to call. I can see why you were cheating.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the younger man. I think Owen Cooper's going to get a points decision win.
I've gone with Cooper, but I've gone Cooper by stoppage.
I've gone Congo decision. So we're all gone different.
We have indeed. Ezra Taylor versus Troy Jones, light heavyweight 10 rounder, like we mentioned. A lot of people predicting an Ezra Taylor stoppage on this
Same
one.
here.
That's
I
what you were
agree.
going
Yeah.
for?
I've gone Ezra Taylor by decision.
I've gone Ezra Taylor stoppage as well. Liam Davis, Kurt Walker, featherweight 12 rounder for the IBF International, like we mentioned. Ben, what'd you go for this one?
I think Davis will bounce back in this one and get a decision win.
Completely agree.
Stoppage win for me.
Ooh.
They're going to get a lot of stoppages
I
on
like
this
it.
one. Anthony Cacace, Leigh Wood, super featherweight 12 rounder.
I think this is where it's going to be split, where we're going to look at the inactivity, I think, and our predictions are all going to be a little bit different. I think Cacace wins on a close split decision.
Split decision.
Bold shout. It's a bold shout.
I think Leigh Wood wants another go at pushing for a world title fight and all that, and getting that. What's the Nottingham Forest football stadium?
County ground.
Yeah, the county ground. He probably
Or the
wants to
city
fight
ground.
there.
City
Yeah.
ground.
That's the 2, isn't it?
Yeah, don't get them mixed up.
No, but
So yeah, Cacace.
he's a stadium in Nottingham. I'm not
Close.
saying it's his.
Close decision win.
What about you, Ben?
I think the inactivity is going to play a part. He hasn't fought since October 2023, I think. And Cacace's just riding that wave at the moment. He's coming off 2 very impressive wins. And I think Cacace wins by stoppage on Saturday night.
I agree. I think Leigh Wood has shown to have not a
He's not chinny, but
not
he's
a
got the
questionable
ability
chin, but
to
yeah,
get caught.
he does get caught. And now up at super featherweight, up from featherweight, I think there's a possibility that Cacace could hurt him.
Yeah, and he can bang as well, as we have seen. If he lands, I think
Wood
could be in trouble.
Yeah.
He can bang.
He can. He'll big banging, I imagine. No, I think he's, it's mad. We've all gone against Leigh Wood. Do you know what this means now? Leigh Wood's going to get a points decision win or a stopping.
Win.
And there's every chance he could.
When it happens, yeah.
The problem is we do have to make a decision. We can't sit at home and just sit on a fence. We do have to make a decision. And it opens us up for looking stupid, which we could end up doing.
We do that anyway, don't we?
Yeah, I think if we've only got to this point so far, and this is the first time we made us look stupid in this episode, then we've done well.
There's 104 other episows.
106?
106.
Yeah, well, there you go. You just made yourself look stupid there. You didn't even know how many episodes your podcast has.
106 episodes.
Yeah, it's mental to see. Now, we're knocking on about 20 minutes now. We always go for roughly the half-hour mark. And so what I thought we'd do, because we mentioned Usyk Dubois, I know we talked about it a little bit, but one fight, you're not allowed to say Sam Noakes, that you want to see on that card. We did this a little bit before, but...
I've got mine.
You've got yours. We'll start with Ben. We'll let Ben go first.
I don't know if Gavin Gwynn is still knocking about with Queensberry, but if they could try and get him and Cameron Vong's rematch. Because I've just been waiting for that for a while. And I think that'd be nice to open the card, maybe, if they could make that happen. Obviously, Queensberry and Matchroom have got the nice little link up as well now, so hopefully they could try and push for something like that on the card.
Fair enough. My shout is Ben Whittaker, Dan Aziz. I think that's the fight I'd want to see. I think it's a good
British.
Do you think you'd get a boxer fighter on a Queensberry show, though, is the issue?
They were sat next to each other last Saturday.
Yeah, maybe not.
But is it a Riyadh season card?
It's got to be, hasn't it?
It has to be.
They've got to be involved
I think
in
it's
it.
a bit like a ring.
I think they are.
Actually, look, I'll have a quick look. But I think that could still happen.
I think Ben Whittaker and Dan Aziz is a good step. Well, I said that is the fight they should.
Yeah, I think it's a good step for Whittaker. Let's have. Why have I done that? Oh, stupid. I'm searching up the wrong person.
What fight would you go for, anyway?
I would go for the rematch, David Adelaide, Jamie TKV.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the one that's going to happen on there. And you talk about whether a boxer fight is going to be on there. I think with that fight happening, I think then potentially Sam's fight could come through there, or your fight, whichever one. Another one we talked about in the last podcast, Richard Riakporhe made his heavyweight debut over in Saudi Arabia. Lawrence Okoli, obviously with Queensberry now, you could potentially put that on the card. They made a heavy impact card up in Manchester. I think this one could be sort of heavyweight themed through the fight card. And another one, how many have I named now? This is my third one, Delicious Ori. Chuck him on there.
Just chuck him on there?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think we are like to see a lot of the Queensberries. And like you say, I think Frank Warren loves a heavyweight. He's got so many to pick from. I wouldn't be shocked if we see just a full collection. Yeah, so it is a Riyadh season card. So it could happen. It could happen. Who says no? Certainly not me.
They need to pack it, even though the main event is wicked. But
what I hope they don't do is do what they did last time with like a 3 o'clock start.
That was crap.
The fact that we were watching Josh Padley cause one of the upsets of the year at 3 p.m. with about 40 people in the crowd was such a shame.
Talking about stadium fights, last week Jarrell Miller pulled out, didn't he, against Fabio Wardley. Shock. What a fight to come to replace it with Justis Huni.
Yeah,
stepping in. I think we talked a lot about Huni from at the cards that we previewed over in Australia. I think he's the sort of fighter that, if given the opportunity, can showcase what he's all about. And yeah, fair play for him for going literally into the Lions' Den of Ipswich Town Football Club and fighting someone that is coming off probably the best win of his life against Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley. And I'm quite happy it's happening, because I didn't think Jarrell Miller, personally speaking, I don't think Jarrell Miller deserved the opportunity to fight Fabio Wardley on a big stadium card fight now like that. But yeah, fair play to Huni for taking this, and it's another Matchroom versus Queensberry, and since that 5v5, Matchroom have been having the upper hand. They have.
I think this is the Huni fight's a better fight for the fans.
100%.
I think Jarrell Miller would have been a better fight for Wardley in terms of career progression and having a real test and working your way through the rounds and stuff. But for the fans, certainly Justis Huni and Fabio Wardley, you imagine will probably finish in a stoppage, because I think it will be quite an open fight.
They've got the same style, both of them.
They're both a little bit raw, aren't they? They're both clearly talented and powerful. Not the biggest heavyweights, but they're both quite raw ability-wise, and they're quite style-wise. They're I think it will be an open fight where there are chances to get knockouts.
Yeah. I was going to say with that as well, with Anthony Joshua now out for what looks like 8 weeks, 'cause he's having elbow surgery, I think it is.
Yeah, what an exclusive to have in between, what was it, the Badu Jack fight? You know?
Yeah.
Everyone's half asleep watching it, and that comes over that news story.
Thinking maybe Joshua will need a warm-up fight before they get that Fury fight on. Do you
Joshua
reckon
Miller.
we could see Jarrell Miller and Anthony Joshua finally
No.
fight?
No.
I wouldn't be shocked, mind.
No.
I know you don't want to see it. You're saying that because you don't want to see it.
He's got a tear running down his eye, but
I don't think we see Jarrell Miller fight in the UK again.
I'd like to see it just to
I wouldn't
see
be shocked.
Joshua get one over on him.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
After everything they've said, yes, but from a fighter and all this sort of, if you've had a drug stash, you shouldn't box. I say no. I think there's other fights out there for AJ to have to warm up.
But
Yeah, there are,
effect of boxing as well. If Jarrell Miller didn't fail that drugs test, Joshua doesn't fight Ruiz. Ruiz doesn't become world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Maybe Joshua's an undisputed world champion right
Maybe
now.
Joshua can
having
just
knocked
fight-
out Deontay Wilder. Who knows? But I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll never know. I think before this just goes into Harry crying, we'll have to end the camera now, the video and the episode, so that he can have a little moment in the corner. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in. If you're on Spotify, obviously follow on there. If you're on YouTube, subscribe.
They can't see my tears on Spotify, can they?
No, they can't, but
No.
they can hear them.
Okay, that's
They
good.
maybe smell them. I don't know if that's a new Spotify feature, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Thank you all for tuning in. Follow us on the social medias, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, Facebook, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, everywhere. Thank you all, as I always say, for tuning in. And next week, we'll be obviously reviewing this card and then previewing whatever boxing is next week. I haven't looked that far ahead. Just want to get through the last
Johnny
week.
Fisher.
Oh, how did I forget that? I knew you'd say that. I was just setting you up. I was just teeing you up for it. As always, we'll catch you all next week.
Punches chance. Punches chance podcast.